Hello, everyone. I'm Claudiu Murgan, the host of the Spiritual Inspire podcast, and my guest today is Brenda Coty. Brenda's journey to alternative medicine techniques such as iridology, NLP, and acupuncture started when she had to take care of the well-being of her three children. She understood that balancing the physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual bodies is very important. An unfortunate decision to take a hepatitis shot to travel abroad resulted in chronic pain and a fatalistic diagnosis, lupus and osteoarthritis. She turned again to the alternative methods of healing, and the approach of Dr. Bradley Nelson, the creator of Emotion Code, resonated with her. Since then, she healed completely without the help of drugs, and now she guides and facilitates others on their path of healing, working with many modalities and protocols. She recognizes God consciousness as the highest guide to facilitate profound shifts in our healing. Brenda, thank you very much for joining me today.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. It's definitely been an interesting path to take, and not one that's really recognized by, the numbers that we would like to facilitate to. But that's
Yes,
okay.
yeah,
That's okay.
we'll get into that. And just to have full transparency with my viewers, I am your client. We've been working together for 1.5 years now,
Yeah.
and I can attest to the benefits of your methods.
Thank you. Thank you. And how's your wife? Is she doing? Is
She's
she doing
doing fine, yes, and
good?
I'm
Good.
sure she
Yeah.
will get back to you
Yeah.
sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
I would
Sounds
like
good.
to start by saying that you've been very courageous to publicly mention that the hepatitis shot caused so much pain and almost left you disabled when most people still think that the vaccines are 100% safe. But
Yeah.
your experience was totally different.
Yeah, totally different. And I get from a lot of my clients or people that seem to gravitate to me, a lot of their issues are connected to the vaccines. And not just the one recently that, everyone kind of blew up about. All the vaccines, like childhood vaccines, they've been tampered with since the beginning of time, since they were created.
Yes, and more and more information is surfacing almost every day
Hmm.
about what happened in the last 3 years and how these
Yeah.
vaccines, as you mentioned, were tainted and things which shouldn't be in there
Yeah.
are being found by various teams of doctors and researchers. And that's quite disturbing.
Yeah, it's very, very disturbing. Um, I guess there was a method to their madness. We like to not think that people purposely sabotaged um, all of this, but it happens. Um, there was some kind of you know, it wasn't a higher power by any means. It was more of a lower vibrational power that was at hand and was sabotaging all of this for us and causing us so much pain throughout the years and created all the diseases on the planet. My testing shows when I am tapped into God consciousness that this is all the God's truth, that this is what's actually happened. So, what I'm doing now is helping and clearing one person at a time to bring up the vibration. It's not just their vibration, but it's connected to the whole planet.
Yes. And in your particular case, and in many other cases, these events sometimes turn to the positive. And again, in your
Yeah.
case,
Yeah.
led you to heal yourself, looking at
Mhm.
alternative options. So
Mhm.
do you think, God faced you with that challenge so you can focus on your soul's purpose?
Absolutely. Absolutely. In fact, I had that conversation with a client just today and mentioned to her, see the gift that you've been given because it's led you to where you are now. And who knows where it's going to lead you down your path of authenticity, because that's what this work's all about. It is about bringing people to that point where they, understand where their path was meant to be all along.
Yeah. So in other words, right now, through this process of healing, some of your clients not only get healed, but they find their soul purpose. This is what you're saying. Interesting.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And can you give us an example? I mean, I'm quite interested to find out, of course, not naming names or anything like that. We don't know these people anyway. But one of the latest clients you had, what exactly she or he found out about their soul's purpose?
Well, yeah, they would. That's a big question, Claudio. Yeah, they would find out. Okay, I'm thinking of someone in particular, and they could feel a spirit within their energy field, and it was rather disruptive to them, and they had an idea of what this spirit was all about. It was a disembodied. And so what I do with disembodied spirits, when I find them, I heal them and I send them to the angels. And through this, she seemed to develop, how can I put, a connection with her angels and guides. And it was like right after the session, she got the message, and she's messaged me a few times since then, just in so much appreciation. And she's actually still connected to that spirit, but the spirit is not angry anymore. And the spirit is, giving off all kinds of love to her and to me, sending messages to me as well. So she knows what her path is now. And she's going to be doing similar types of energy work with people she's met along on her path that she's been connected to. So, and it really, really mind boggles me, this work, because it's so individual, and one person's session doesn't even come close to the next. People trying to find that path and to just heal in general. But yeah, there's so many people. I don't even know where to begin, Claudio.
Yeah, and it's interesting because you mentioned authenticity. And I know that people want there to start something on the spiritual path or do something or reach out to other people because they don't have that confidence that they are authentic and they are not willing to put themselves out. But the moment we connect with the higher self or the angels or a different type of spirit, God consciousness, and we get that confidence, that's much, much better.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of people feel as though that energy is outside of them. That's misinterpreted, because it's not outside, it's only within. I want to be on this path of helping the being a humanitarian, and I've facilitated this protocol, and I've submitted it to this all of these people that are supposed to be in charge of the financial switch on the planet, and they say they're going to support this humanitarian project of mine, but I can't do anything until that money comes. And I'm like, you can't be thinking like that. You have to think that you can do so much within yourself by just changing your energy and your thoughts. You will be able to change the outside world, perhaps speed that process up. But just waiting for that to come is not the place where you need to be. You need to visualize that you already have it.
Yes. Brenda, going back in your past, I mentioned Dr. Nelson's approach. What exactly attracted you to this doctor?
Well, he talks about And he doesn't use the God consciousness. He uses the word subconscious mind, and that everything can be trapped within the subconscious mind. Emotions from your past, and even, from past lives or generations. So by going in and finding out where the subconscious mind has stored all of these trapped emotions, you can free yourself then from all of that, all of the baggage that stops you from being, once again, your most authentic self. So that's where I started. And I started to just release and just talk about or think that the subconscious mind, but then those words changed for me. As I connected to my spirit guides and I connected to my angels, the dialogue changed, and it changed to my higher self. But Dr. Bradley Nielsen definitely, I use personally as well with all of my clients, the body code. And it is a protocol that is an app. And I use that to decode a lot of what is channeled to me through spirit. And I use many other modalities as well, but it all comes down, it comes to the body code, using the body code to decode all of this.
And how important is in your healing methodology to find blocked energy within the body?
Yeah. So the person's higher self will definitely take me there. So what we do is we develop an intention. What is their intention in the very beginning? What needs to be addressed? And from there, their higher self will take me through various modalities. It could be the kinesiology scan that was put together. That's Andrew Kempleton. He's out of the UK, and he is the most phenomenal healer. And I use two of his manuals, and I use them every day. I use them in every session. I use as well, Kate Elliott is her name, and she's the Easy Entity Release. And by releasing that which needs to be released, you can then free up that flow of energy, your connection to your angels and guides, to Source God.
So in other words, you are also learning at the same time you are healing your clients, because you find new ways and new therapies, if I can say so.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. It's quite the and because everyone is so different, I'm learning from every one of them, where I'm going. A lot of my work is with entities, actually, and they're all different kinds of entities out there. And then, an entity come up and a client will say, well, is it a good entity or a bad entity? I'm like, if it's coming up and revealing itself, it's one that needs to be released. I'm not speaking about your guides or your angels, by any means. I'm talking reptilians. I'm speaking of aliens, ETs. There's different names. There's tricksters and demons and all different types of entities. But it's so fascinating. Once you release that, the body can really then be in the flow of healing. You're really in that alignment then, because I was always taught with different, modalities that I would be taking or interested in. I was always taught that the body has the innate ability to heal itself. So it's a matter of, releasing that which doesn't need to be there, that's trapping you and blocking you. There could be barriers there even.
And what's the modality of these entities, aliens you mentioned, to attach to us? Because I don't think most of us are aware that we have these entities attached.
Right. And that is so varied, that answer, because you could say it was because of your vibration that they attach themselves to you, because you're a lower vibration. But then you can as well take it to maybe you have some kind of royal DNA, because they'll attach and they'll want to put out your light if you have any kind of royal DNA. So there's many, many reasons why they're going to attach, because they are of a lower vibration and we are of a higher caliber. We've evolved so much more and we have so many more gifts than they have. They want to know what those gifts are. How do they acquire those gifts? So it's a matter of, they're gonna come into our energy field to try and figure this out. But it becomes so much more complicated than that when you've been attacked by them.
So in other words, if we keep raising our vibration through love and let's say unconditional love and gratitude, is this a way to get rid of them, or once they capture us, they stay for good?
They're in there until they're released in your energy. They're not going to come in afterwards, after you've raised your vibration, though. So by releasing that which is there, you're going to raise your vibration, and there's no way of them coming back in. And the reason I also say that is the planet is changing. It's changing to the point where our vibration is, and there's no more of this nefarious, offensive happening on the planet. Invasive energies, they've been released. Like, we know that this has been a spiritual war going on, and they've won the war. And and with the work that I do, I can heal one person at a time even, but there's other people out there healing the whole, they're doing the grid work on the planet. Incredible energies that are here to help us to ascend, so that we don't fall into the, and this will never happen. I cannot say never happen, but hopefully, when this work is done. But there's no fear right now of that coming into your energy field. It's just what was there, what came in from previous lifetimes. And because this has been going on for thousands of years.
So do you feel the frequency of the earth changing, and we change at the same time?
Yeah, it's amazing, the difference. I find it within my own family. My own family is now being able to regroup after what has previously gone on, and we're getting more grounded in the family now once again, where we used to be, maybe even better yet.
Yeah, in fact, I wanted to ask you, how did the family reacted to initially when you came forward with all these sensibilities and gifts?
Yeah, they've known about me always being involved with the alternatives, because when they were very little, right, I'd go to iridologists and I'd go to all these different healers, and they didn't think anything. They were younger. They would just go with the flow, and they always knew. And then I took, other courses, and they thought it was just a passing, interest of mine. Once again, okay, she's going to do this, and then she'll get involved with this. And she has that tendency of doing that. But when I was not well, I needed to really get serious about my health. And they didn't even know really a lot of what I went through. I kept it to myself. And to tell you the truth, right now, I have 3 children. 2 out of the 3 will pacify me. They will go with whatever I'm saying or explaining to them about different energies that I've come into through clients. And then, but the one will not even listen to it. And his whole theory is, you don't ask the questions that you don't want to hear the answers. So you know what? That's cool. I know he's put up his boundaries, and I know where they're at, and I can relate. I can come down a few notches. a few vibrations and to speak with him and his family. But anyway, it is what it is.
So his higher self won't allow you to do any clearing or?
Oh yes. He doesn't even realize it. Because he is of my blood, I can work on that child. I can release past hurt and present hurt, and I can release. He's a very intellectual boy and really thinks a lot from the left brain, of course. And yeah, he's he's a different one.
So we have to be sure that he doesn't listen to this interview.
Pardon me?
We have to be sure that he won't listen. He won't see this interview.
Yeah, I will make sure of that. The others, though, will be very happy to see it. They're very open to the work. In fact, they both will call on me and say, Mom, I'm having this issue. The one had to get, him and his girlfriend, they had to get that vaccine in order to keep their jobs. And they were not placebos. They were the real McCoy. And I'm still, until a couple of weeks ago, I was still releasing layers that had come up from the vaccine. So it's very doable to be able to release all toxins when they haven't gotten the placebo.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, it is unfortunate.
Brenda, what ascending masters are you working with, or specific angels?
So I have, I have 12 angels with me right now, and I have 20 guides. So what happens with the guides as I'm ascending, doing the work that I'm doing, they're the light beings that are coming in. So the light beings want to help to heal the planet as well. The Palladiums, Syrians, Octarians, the Andromedans. And it's not just myself that I have ushered in the light beings. Sometimes, like the young girl yesterday that needed that spirit released, well, she knows what her spiritual path is, but she needs help. So right away, her higher self is saying, hey, we need some help here. So I ushered in 6 Octarian guides for her. And that was beautiful. So I have 20 and 12. So Sepharin, and I don't even know if I'm pronouncing this word because their name is different. It's called Sepharin Angels. And it was a lady who put out a book. And I read the book, and it's like, I want to have these angels. They used to be on this planet all the time helping. And then when the reptilians resonated too much, they left the planet. And now they're back. So I read her book and I called in those angels. So I have 5 of those angels along with my 7. And I have ancestrals as well that help me with the work, with all of this work. I can do angel healing. I can bring in those angels for other people too. It's a cool protocol, actually. The same lady, I wish I could remember her name right now, Ruth Rendley, that's her name, Ruth Rendley, wrote Multiple Souls as well, which is another protocol. And I kind of picked and a few different things from other healers, and I put together my own protocol on soul healing. And it's just amazing. I love it how much it comes up. And Ruth was she was far beyond her time. She was a real, a pioneer of angels in her time. And I love working and I love people. So I would be able to tell that girl yesterday as well who her angels were. And there's her soul, the origins of her souls. Let's get it straight here. And what one was in charge of her energy. So that's part of the soul healing. Only one. We all have more than one soul. We have at least 3. I have 6 right now. They come in for various reasons, but a soul will come in, okay, at birth. Another soul of yours will come in when you start to communicate with people. And a third soul will normally come in at puberty. And then your higher self and your angels and guides will determine which one looks after your energy. And then they switch it up. So I've tested when people start to talk about a Kundalini experience, for some, it's their soul being switched. A switching of the person that's driving the energy at the helm. Yeah, the soul that's, I should say, the soul that is driving the energy.
So the difference in these souls is in their energy, in their origin.
Yes.
What exactly is the difference?
There's quite a bit. They could be, okay, so I've dealt with extraterrestrial souls. They'd have no knowledge of what it's like or lifetimes on this planet. So are they going to serve a person's highest and best? No, they're not. So you can switch that up. There are some souls. There's one called the Black Hole Guardian. And a lady I did a webinar on the souls with Tom Hines, another healer down in Arizona. And she picked up on that webinar and she contacted me and she says, I have one of those souls. I have that black soul. I want you to get rid of it or do whatever you do. And I'm like, okay, well, let's slow down a bit and let's test. There was a reason for her having this black soul guardian. And there were lessons for her to be learned from this. So, and even though the soul's there to, to protect her, being a guardian, there was still lessons. And I said, I can't release that soul. I'm sorry. But we can do some other work. So we did some other things and she was very happy with her session. Probably a little disappointed that I couldn't release it, but you can only release what the person's higher self says is in their highest and best.
Yes, there are limitations and we should be aware of those limitations. Yeah.
So some of these souls will come from other stars. This one I really like. This girl, the one that was in charge of her energy yesterday, was an angelic being. And this angelic being is a reincarnated angel. And I pick up on a reincarnated angel just like that. And we call them earth angels. Yeah. So she has some beautiful souls that will continue with her on her path. What would be another? Some are from different, like one's from Mars, another one's could be one's called an earthling, and they're here. And some of their origin is the earthling is all about being a nurturer, being a mother, being, family oriented. Yeah.
Brenda, you mentioned earlier about ancestors. How important is to pacify our ancestor souls, which are still lingering or maybe are trying to help, but they are not comfortable in helping us due to various circumstances?
That will come up in a session. That will come up through the kinesiology scan, that there's healing to be done. And you'd be surprised what is connected to that healing. There could be a lot of vows, contracts, oaths, anything of that nature could be connected to that. And I come across that, and it's funny, even asking that right now, some of my thoughts right now are how many contracts and vows are coming up. And it's almost like as the planet is ascending, we are having the healers that deal with this type of thing are having to heal these issues for people. And it's mind-boggling to me at times how much is coming up. And I'll say that some of this healing is not like you're releasing that vow or you're releasing that contract because it could be a good one. But what happened with them is that something attached itself to it to stop it, to stop it from, being their vow. So as soon as you release what needs to be released and cleared from the vow and the contract, you free up all that energy. And that's how you're healing the ancestors as well as yourself. I don't know if that answers the question.
Yes, yeah, beautiful. Thank you. Brenda, off camera, you mentioned to me that you've been kidnapped when you were 7 years old. How did that happen, and how did it impact you later on in life?
Yeah. So when I was going through the path of healing myself from the vaccine, from the Trinrex, I remember telling my mom, I said, I have memories of being in the hospital, and it was like months. I was in the hospital at 7 years of age from a vaccine that I'd received. But I didn't get a lot of visits. Mom and dad were busy, and there's 9 kids in the family. So I didn't get, I'm like middle of the way up the family scale. And yeah, I didn't get a lot of visits. And I remember a lot of like horrifying memories from being there alone. And so when I told her about this vaccine that I got and what it did to my body, she said, well, you can't receive vaccines, Brenda. Do you not remember you were in the hospital? And I said, but I didn't know it was because of all of that nonsense. She says, no, you can't receive it. So on my path then of healing, that's when I started to dabble with entities and found out I had been abducted. It was through a client that said, well, have you heard of the secret space program? And I go, what are you talking about? And he says, no, it's a real thing. It's a secret space program. And then, something to do with Eisenhower signing an agreement with the reptilians and this type of thing. And I'm like, no, I've never. So I started to test myself because this client said he was abducted. And I go, gee, I'm not testing that you're abducted, but I'm testing that I'm abducted. So it kind of started from there. And it's unbelievable. It gives me a lot of answers to the questions growing up, and my challenges, and why I had those challenges. Because when they get a hold of you, time here, we have time here, but when they take you, there's nothing about time going on wherever they take you. And they do the exploratory and they decide, what. But what I find out afterwards, and so I attract a lot of abducted people. And that's actually in one of the questions I ask in the very beginning is, has this person been abducted? Not just do we have unresolved karma, because even with clients coming in, I could have other lives with these clients. So I ask unresolved karma or entity entanglement, or have they been abducted? So there's just something that a standard questionnaire that I ask. And it's amazing how many people have come to me that have been abducted. And it's sad to see, the point they are in their life and how long they've had to deal with all of these challenges.
Yeah. And due to the work you are doing, are you prone to, let's say, psychic attacks? Do you still feel them?
Yeah, I do. In fact, one of the practitioner friends of mine, and she's been a friend of mine, she came into doing the energy work and learning all about it at the same time I did, entered the world of holistics, and it turned out her and I had many, many lives. Every time I was in her company, I was attacked and I couldn't figure it out. And eventually we just came to the realization of how many lifetimes we have had, even off planet, especially off planet. And we had all of this entity entanglement between us. But it took energy healers outside of us to come in because we were too close to each other. So, so these attacks would continue for a few years, being very aware of them, to the point where I didn't want to go to her place, and to the point where I thought, you know what? This isn't just happening with her. This is happening with a lot of people that I'm running into. I seem to have, I'm getting these psychic attacks, and I didn't even know I was contemplating even leaving the energy work, because it was brutal. It was brutal. And then I kept asking Spirit, there's got to be some kind of solution to this. So I was taken to, it's called Balancing with Numbers. And I shared all of these frequencies with all other practitioners. I'm connected with a whole group of them. And Balancing with Numbers was created by Lloyd Muir. He's since deceased, but his manual is, like, I use it all the time as well. And it has the frequencies of protection. So once I installed those frequencies, lo and behold, I'm not being hit on as much, because I can keep my frequencies higher. The frequency, not the frequency, my vibration high, so that frequency doesn't come in to disrupt it. So yeah.
Is the main purpose of these attacks to make you give up of your work?
I think, yeah, absolutely. That's the total method to the entity's madness, or is to keep us at a low vibration. And I have other DNA going on in my system that was very attracted to them. That's why I was abducted. Being abducted as well, and various people, a few of the other questions I ask is, were they rescued? Because there's a couple commanders out there that actually facilitate the rescuing of these people. So this would have been many years ago as well. I don't think they do as much rescuing anymore. Velnek and Thorhan are the two names of the commanders. They will even put chips in the people that are being abducted. So I ask, or do they have a chip, and has it been activated? If it hasn't been activated, then I'm going to do it. I will facilitate that. That was another thing that my spirit guide said I was capable of doing, and my angels.
Very interesting. I know that you use some tools in your practice, such as crystals and pendulum. How exactly do they help you?
Some of the damage that was done when I was abducted was probably with the hypothalamus. So I lose the feeling in my fingers and my feet. I had the least little bit of a temperature. So using a pendulum is definitely a godsend for me. But it's funny, because this feeling that I feel, and it resonates into my hands, I don't even have to look at the pendulum. It's just a knowing of what is a yes and what is a no. But the pendulum is definitely a connection, or it's an extension of my energy.
And do you teach other people your knowledge and your methodology based on your own approach? Do you have any webinars or workshops?
No, but I do it individually, meaning that when they have a healing, at the end of that session, I always make sure they have protection frequencies. I also let them know how many angels and guides they have to call on, and to call on them as often every day, to call on them, to keep them, close by. So to a certain extent, I am facilitating this knowledge, this energy work. If whatever questions they ask about the path that they should be on, I'm giving them some good advice. And like I did the one webinar, maybe in the near future, that'd be something that I consider. But right now, I seem to be busy enough with one-on-one and educating them on the energy world that's available to us.
Yes. And other than, working with clients, do you have any spiritual daily practice?
Say that again.
Do you have any spiritual daily practice, such as
Oh, yes.
meditation or praying or?
Absolutely. It's a whole ritual. It's every morning, but it can be through the night as well. Spirit will wake me up through the night and they'll say, you know, that client, that's what you need to be doing. And so I get up in the morning and I test and I know exactly, and then I'll send off a message to them. But no, every morning I have a ritual with my spirit guides, and it's a wonderful thing. I live by myself. I'm single, but I'm not lonely, not by any means. When I have all of these spirit guides and angels around me, I just feel so blessed. I feel so blessed, so privileged to be doing this work. It's like pinch myself. Am I really doing this work and facilitating this healing for people? And yeah, it's lovely.
Beautiful. And do you think the spirit has any words for us, for my audience? Anything in particular you can
Well,
ask?
I think it's the same thing that I give my clients. You know, definitely find, bring them in, your spirit guides and your angels. There might be even ancestral. I have two ancestral spirit guides, and I have three ancestral angels. And so you never know who they are. But I take that comment away. People will always know who they are. It's surprising because when I tell them how many they have, and I'll say, and you have an ancestral, do you know who that is? Oh, well, it has to be my grandmother or it has to be my grandfather. So it's very cool to hear that. But yeah, just to call them in every day, to talk to them, to realize that you need to do that. They're not going to be there unless you ask. If you don't ask, you don't receive. That same, comment there. And to stay in the moment. Stay in the moment as much as possible and stay in that moment with love and gratitude. So I know a lot of us healers, we all preach that, but it is the people that are out there working, having to go out to work for these big, huge companies, unless you tell them this, they forget to reel that in and to put their thoughts there. Thoughts become real. And so watch your thoughts. Watch
Yes.
your thoughts. Always make sure they're loving thoughts.
It's important. And we talk about this tug of war, a spiritual tug of war that we are going through these days. How do you see the outcome? And is it going to happen sometime this year, next year? What's your time frame on that?
My time frame is next year, but that's only testing, God right now. It's just testing God consciousness. It's testing the universe. Let's say I'm testing the universe and they say next year it's going to evolve and you're going to see more of what has been spoke about for the last few years. But we're going to see more of it after this year. Not to say that there aren't changes now, but the majority of the changes will be next year. And I look at it as being all very fabulous. It's all fabulous. People talk about global warming and all of this and that. And if they're talking anything negative, I go, no, I don't believe in that. I believe that, God has our back and that this is all transpiring for the highest and good for all humanity.
Yes, let's stay positive for sure.
Stay positive.
Yeah. Brenda, we're approaching the end of the interview. Any final thoughts?
Any final thoughts? Oh, to know that, to always know that the healing is within, and to, if you're not getting the answers from the outside world, go within and reach to someone that might be able to, not that this is a plug for my own energy, not by any, there's so many wonderful energy healers out there, but I think we're all as a society swaying towards that which we don't see, to be able to see what we really want to see. So that's part of it. So believe in what you don't see. Keep those thoughts, because you keep that faith and you will see what you believe.
Yes, thank you. How can you be reached if someone is interested to work with you?
Yeah, so normally people just give me a phone call or they text message me. I do have a Facebook page, and I don't post enough on it, unfortunately. And I can't even use the excuse that I'm working too hard and I can't get there. It's just I'm a procrastinator when it comes to technology. So I have it's called Emotion C dot Brenda Coty at outlook.com. People can leave a message there for me.
Okay, we'll write this email in the description of the interview, the video. Brenda, thank you very much for your time. It's been wonderful.
It's been my pleasure, and thank you so much for inviting me.
Thank you. And to my viewers, thank you for watching. Share it, like it. Get a free copy of my book when you visit my website. And until next time, love and gratitude.